We're already about 1/3 of the way through the college football season, so things are really starting to get serious. The Heisman favorites look completely different than they did to begin the year, as a lot of players who were in the top 10 of odds are no longer there. Today, I'm going to be sharing my top 10 Heisman picks as we enter week 5 of the college football season. Before we get to today's video, make sure to hit that subscribe button and turn on those notifications if you're new to the channel. If you love college football content, then this is definitely the place for you. Also, drop a comment down below and let me know who your Heisman picks are. It really helps the algorithm of the video and helps share this video with more college football fans. Plus, I'd love to see who you guys have as your Heisman frontrunner. If there are any other college football videos you'd like to see similar to this, drop a comment down below and it could turn into my next video. We're going to kick off our list at number 10 with Taliato, who has been fantastic this season for Maryland. With a huge game this weekend against Iowa, he has a chance to pull off the upset and climb even higher in the rankings. At the moment, the Terps are undefeated and have been a surprise in the Big Ten, and that's largely due to the play of Talia. In 4 games, he's completing 75% of his passes and has thrown for nearly 1,400 yards. He's thrown 10 touchdown passes and has only 1 interception. He's thrown at least 3 touchdowns in 3 games and has at least 330 passing yards in 3 games as well. Like I said, if he's able to pull off the upset this weekend against Iowa, he's going to skyrocket up these rankings. Number 9 goes to a new running back who enters the list, Ohio State freshman running back Trayvion Henderson. He's been by far the best player for the Buckeyes this season, along as one of the best running backs in the nation. In 4 games, he's rushed for 440 yards on 9.5 yards a carry. He also has 6 rushing touchdowns and a receiving touchdown, but most of that production has come over the last 2 weeks. 2 weeks ago against Tulsa, he rushed for a Buckeye freshman record 277 yards to go along with 3 rushing touchdowns. Last week against Akron, he rushed for 100 yards with 2 touchdowns. Over his last 2 games, he's averaging 11.5 yards a carry. He's finally taken over the backfield, and this might be the beginning of his dominance. Number 8 goes to another running back who is back in my top 10, Texas running back Bijan Robinson. He's really starting to cement himself as the best running back in the nation. Through 4 games, he's rushed for 450 yards with 5 rushing touchdowns, and has 8 catches for 150 yards and 2 touchdowns in the passing game. Last week against Texas Tech, he rushed for a season-high 140 yards on 18 carries. Over his last 2 games, he's rushed for 270 yards and is averaging 8 yards a carry. What makes him so valuable though is his ability to be a pass catcher. In 2 games this season, he has more than 50 receiving yards. If Texas continues to climb up the rankings, it'll be behind Bijan Robinson. Cracking my top 10 for the first time this season at number 7 is Arkansas quarterback KJ Jefferson. The Razorbacks have been one of the most surprising teams so far this season, and Jefferson has played a large role in that. Through 4 games, he has Arkansas undefeated and in the top 10 of the AP poll. He's thrown for 850 yards with 6 passing touchdowns, while also adding 230 yards on the ground with 2 rushing touchdowns. He's shown up in the big games for Arkansas, as he had more than 200 total yards against Texas, and then had nearly 300 yards with 2 touchdowns against Texas A&M. He has a huge chance this weekend to cement himself as a true contender as Arkansas travels to Georgia. If Jefferson is able to pull off the huge upset, I think we're going to see his odds rise very quickly. Another guy who enters my top 10 for the first time is Penn State quarterback Sean Clifford, who comes in at number 6. This one was pretty shocking for me, as I thought Clifford was not the right quarterback for Penn State moving forward, but he's been fantastic in 2021 and is having the best season of his career. Through 4 games, he's completing 72% of his passes and has thrown for 1,200 yards. He's on pace for 3,600 yards this season, which would shatter his previous career high of 2,600 yards. He also has 9 total touchdowns on the season as well. He's going to have a huge test in 2 weeks when Penn State plays Iowa. If he's able to get the victory and keep the Nittany Lions undefeated, Clifford is a name who will get much better odds in the coming weeks. Before I get to my top 5, if you could take a second and give this video a thumbs up, I would greatly appreciate it. It helps share the video with more college football fans, and it only takes a second to do. Hanging right around at number 5 is Cincinnati quarterback Desmond Ritter, who has been around this area every week in my rankings so far this year. In 3 games this season, Ritter's thrown for 750 yards with 7 passing touchdowns and 2 rushing touchdowns. He's coming off a 250-yard, 2-touchdown performance on the road at Indiana 2 weeks ago. His numbers aren't as good as some of the other quarterbacks in the country, but Ritter has a chance to make history and help Cincinnati become the first Group of 5 school to reach the playoff. He has a perfect chance to help his case this weekend as the Bearcats travel on the road to face Notre Dame. Entering my list for the first time at number 4 is Fresno State quarterback Jake Haener. He has been fantastic for the Bulldogs in 2021. In 5 games, he's completing 73% of his passes and has thrown for 1,800 yards with 15 passing touchdowns. He also has 3 rushing touchdowns as well, giving him 18 on the season. As we know, he shows up when it matters most. Everyone remembers his game against UCLA a few weeks back when he put the team on his back and led 2 game-winning drives late in the game. He also threw for 450 yards. Earlier in the year against Oregon, he almost pulled off the upset, but still threw for 300 yards and 2 total touchdowns. Last week, Fresno State was on upset watch against UNLV, but he did whatever it took to win that game, including throwing for 400 yards with 5 passing touchdowns. If he's able to put up those numbers on a week-to-week basis while the Bulldogs continue to win games, he'll be right there in the discussion all season long. Number 3 goes to SMU quarterback Tanner Mordecai, who is seriously on pace for a historic season. Through 4 games, the first-year starter has 20 passing touchdowns. He's on pace for 60 touchdowns this season. Not to mention, if SMU plays in their conference championship game and a bowl game, he very well could end up with 70 passing touchdowns. He's also thrown for 1,300 yards, so he's on pace to throw for more than 4,000 as well. He's thrown at least 4 touchdowns in every game this season, including last week on the road in SMU's win over TCU. The Mustangs have some pretty good opponents on their schedule, so if they continue to win and make a case for a New Year's 6 bowl game, Mordecai almost certainly will be a finalist. My number 2 is Ole Miss quarterback Matt Corral, who is currently the betting favorite. However, he has a chance to be my number 1 next week. Through 3 games, Corral has thrown for 1,000 yards with 9 passing touchdowns and 0 interceptions. He's also added 5 touchdowns on the ground as well, giving him a 12-game pace of 56 touchdowns. Will he get there? I'm not certain, but with how great this Ole Miss offense is, he certainly can. As I mentioned earlier, he has a strong chance to take the number 1 spot next week, as he plays Alabama on the road. If Corral has a great game, he might have that new spot. But in order to be number 1, he's going to have a better game than Alabama quarterback Bryce Young, who I still have as my number 1 Heisman pick. In his first year as the starter, Young is completing 72% of his passes and has thrown for just under 1,200 yards. He has 15 passing touchdowns to go along with only 1 interception. He already has 2 ranked wins, as he beat both Miami and Florida away from home. Against Miami, he had 4 touchdowns, and then against Florida, he had 3 touchdowns. He's coming off a near-perfect performance against Southern Miss, in which he completed 20 of 22 passes for 300 yards and 5 touchdowns. With Ole Miss and Matt Corral coming into town this weekend, Young has a chance to really cement his Heisman case with a great game and a win. This will be the game of the week, and not only will it have major Heisman implications, it's going to have major playoff implications as well. Well, those were my 10 current picks for the Heisman Trophy. Was there a player that I didn't mention that you think should be in my top 10? Let me know in the comments down below. Was I too high on a player, or was I too low on a player? Let me know in the comments down below as well. If you guys haven't done so yet, make sure you hit that subscribe button and turn on those notifications. I'm posting college football videos every day, so if you're a college football fan, this is definitely the place for you. As I mentioned at the beginning of the video, if there are any other college football videos you'd like to see, drop a comment down below, and that very well can turn into my next video. As always, thank you guys so much for watching, and I'll see you all in my next video.